All right, so increase the protein to carb ratio. Consult with a dietitian. Moderation is the key. If we eat more sugar than complex carbs, we miss out on the vital fruits and vitamin B. Eat light meals at night, so with some carbs to help us crash. Avoid red meat at night, so we can, so we don't metabolize all night long. If kids are picky eaters, discuss vitamins and supplements with your doctor, because sometimes we should get our vitamins and nutrients from our food. You don't really need like a multivitamin. You just need to eat properly, but some kids don't. So like Juice Plus and the right multivitamin is very important, and I'm going to share that brand with you as well. That's a good brand that actually does absorb and works the same day. You don't have to wait. It works immediately. Changing how we eat affects how we feel and act. So in order to maximize our mind and improve focus, here's the following suggestions. We want to make sure they're getting some exercise. We want to make sure you're eating, for every 2.2 pounds you weigh, you should have an ounce of water. So 50 pounds, roughly 25 ounces, 23 ounces of water. And then, of course, the National Institute for Mental Health says we should have protein with every meal or snack. 95% of our body's serotonin is found where? In our gut. So because SSRIs increase serotonin levels, it's little wonder that meds meant to cause chemical changes in the brain often provoke GI issues, so gastrointestinal issues. So some people, like if you read the side effects of an SSRI, one of the things is problems with the gut or GI disturbance. Irritable bowel syndrome. 2 million people diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. It's interesting, my mother has struggled with this, and with Paxil, it went away. It went away. But then she gained some weight, and she was really concerned about that, so she reduced it. And then I told my mom, I said, well, what else are you taking to help? She says, well, when I take probiotics, it helps me. Well, that helps your gut. Well, why is it helping your gut, Mom? Like, why is that helping the IBS symptoms? If a probiotic is helping, that means there's inflammation in your gut. Okay, and what's causing that? So then you read the research out there, and you find that corn and soy and peanuts, all these things agitates irritable bowel syndrome. So she's able to reduce her medication from like 60 milligrams to 15, and then lose weight and feel much better. And her gut she didn't have to take. She still takes probiotics, but not as much, and she stays away from these foods. So we talked about how our gut is the second brain. You can look up, there's gut-brain resources out there. There's a book on the gut-brain connection. It's amazing the research that's out there the last 5 years on this topic. So how does serotonin help? Well, it helps with emotional stability, reduces aggression, sensory input. So you have some kids that have sensory integration issues. Well, that may be a serotonin problem. Not always. There's some kids that you help their serotonin issue and they still have sensory issues. So we talk about, we try to address the anxiety first before we go get them an evaluation for sensory integration disorder. Helps with appetite control. Here's what serotonin deficiencies can do. So I had a client fly in from the Dominican Republic. I mentioned that earlier. And she all of a sudden got depressed and anxious. And she couldn't figure out why. What was going on? There was some things happening and some stress in her life, but probably about 45 minutes into the session, I found out that she became vegan. And I said, well, when did you become vegan? Because people, when they go vegan, if they're not careful and they don't supplement their diet properly, they can get anxious and depressed. She says, well, that was 2 years ago. And then a light bulb went off in her head. I mean, man, turkey gives us lots of tryptophan, and tryptophan's job is to release our serotonin and regulate it. So if she just completely stopped getting tryptophan from her diet, then she was getting depressed. Now you can get it from other foods, and I'm going to share those foods with you, but you get a ton of tryptophan from meat, not just turkey, from meat. So those are things that we need to be evaluating, and they need to go to a nutritionist for maybe like a tryptophan supplement and iron oftentimes. You can tell, I can almost tell right away when somebody comes in that they're vegan and they're Caucasian because they're very pale, because they're not getting enough iron for that skin color. So that's just something to look for when you're working with people. So it can cause obsessive compulsive disorder, unexplained tears, OCD. I had a girl break out in tears in my office yesterday, and she didn't eat breakfast. It was 4 o'clock. No lunch, no breakfast, nothing. And she does cheerleading too. And then she comes home and then she eats. She's like, I don't have time in the morning, and I like talking to my friends at lunch. So she doesn't eat anything, and she's weepy, in and out of the sessions. And, you know, just because she's not putting fuel in her tank, just like that cranky person whose sugar levels get low. It can cause obsessive compulsive symptoms. So we need to get 5, HTP, we need calcium and magnesium, and of course we can absorb these better if we're eating less what? Unburned carbohydrates. Very good. So here's the foods that have serotonin. These are the foods that have serotonin. Bananas, beets, whole grains, and of course the whole grain, I would do a half a sandwich at lunch with the whole grain bread, so it's just 1 slice of bread if you're just going to sit in class. If you're going to eat the sandwich and then go to PE, have 2 slices of bread. Okay? We double or triple the meat on that half sandwich and thick slice it, so they have to chew it, they have to digest it. So here's some of the foods: milk, cheese, nuts, potatoes, radishes, spinach. Turkey's the big one. Blue-green algae. And then those are the building blocks for serotonin. This is the foods that actually contain sufficient levels of tryptophan. And so you can see the turkey, meat, bananas, walnuts, avocados. So if you like guacamole, be careful though, a lot of fat. It's a good fat, but you got